So recently I've been going through the Exorcist films and reviewing the films in that franchise, and I finally got the opportunity to sit down and watch the latest Exorcist Believer, and got some thoughts here for you. But like always, before I get into it, welcome back to The Haunted Beard, everybody. My name is Jake. Thank you for joining me. It's all horror and thriller movie content here on my channel, so listen, do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard. I'm not going to get into a plot synopsis with this thing. If you're watching this video, you know what this is. It is a sequel slash reboot, I guess, to the original Exorcist film. Also, I'm going to go ahead and issue a spoiler warning just so I can give you some more detailed thoughts and we can really get into this thing. So, you have been warned. Here we go. So, I'll start off with some positives on Exorcist Believer. The couple things that I liked that I think worked the best for me anyways is I liked the performance from Leslie Odom Jr. I think he does a pretty solid job, and I can't help but kind of connect with him a little bit, being the fact that he is a father and he has a daughter, and I'm a father, I have a daughter myself, and so you can't really avoid that sort of connection with me anyways anytime there's any sort of father-daughter relationship on screen, and especially in this where you're trying to make sure that, you know, your kid is safe and protected and, you know, you're scared that something bad has happened to them. I can't help but at least connect with that to some degree because I can understand what that's like to a degree. He's the best acting performance in the movie for me. I think he's really just the highlight overall, and so I think he does a pretty good job given what he's working with. Also, too, there is a sequence about 30 minutes into the movie after the two girls are found and they are admitted to the hospital that I thought was pretty effective just in terms of how it was edited and put together. They go to the hospital, they're running all sorts of tests, and doctors are talking back and forth and asking them a million questions. And I just thought the way that scene was edited did a pretty good job just giving you this feeling of kind of disorientation, chaos, confusion. It just sort of the craziness and all the unsettledness of the whole situation. And so I thought that was a pretty effective sequence there. Outside of those couple things, there's not a whole lot in this that I really enjoyed. There's a handful of issues I had with Exorcist Believer, and so let's just start going through them. First of all is the character of Angela, who is the daughter of Leslie Odom Jr. And I can't help but compare this to the original film. And maybe that's not fair, but it has the Exorcist name on it, so I'm going to just go ahead and do it anyways. So with that being said, the character of Angela, I don't really like how she was written. She starts off, kind of comes across as this, you know, kid who is a little bit disrespectful, a little bit of, oh, dad, stop treating me like a kid. And then, you know, I just want some freedom. I want you to treat me like an adult. And so her father finally relents and allows her to go to her friend's house. But of course, she lies to him and betrays his trust. And then, well, you know what happens. And so you kind of start off with not liking her character. Whereas in the original film, Regan is this innocent victim. She has a great relationship with her mom. She doesn't betray her trust or do anything. She doesn't do anything disobedient, which causes the possession to happen. She's just an innocent victim. Whereas here, Angela, it's like, you know, not that she deserves this to happen to her because she disobeys, but it just doesn't do a good job as an audience member for us to take a liking to her character when that's really all we learn about her. Like, you know, she disobeys her dad, goes and does her own thing, and then disappears, and then she comes back and is possessed by the devil. So I didn't really like that choice. There's a scene later on in the movie, about 45 minutes in, that I thought was just a pretty big missed opportunity, where the other girl who's possessed, Catherine, is at church with her family, and the real onset of her possession shows up, and she comes out during the middle of the service down the middle aisle, screaming out the body and the blood. And to me, that was just kind of a really underwhelming scene. I thought they really could have gone for something crazy and shocking here, but as it sits, I mean, it's a little unsettling, but like you have a demon in church. Like you really could have gone for something wild and crazy. I mean, like imagine if she walked out with a cross and like a crown of thorns on her head or something insane, or started going after people in the congregation or tried to kill the pastor, or I don't know, just something shocking. But I just thought that was a real missed opportunity, that they could have really done something crazy with it, but as it sits, it's just kind of meh. And that brings me to my next issue, which is really my big major overall issue, which is probably the major issue that most people have with it, is that when they bring Chris MacNeil, Ellen Burstyn back in, it just feels so forced and shoehorned and unnecessary. This is only an Exorcist movie because they decided to just give it that title. And the bringing back of Chris MacNeil, again, she doesn't really belong. Like, she doesn't need to be in here, other than, hey, we're connecting this back to one of the biggest, most important horror movies of all time. And it just feels so forced and unnecessary. This is like the epitome of a cash grab to me. It's not an Exorcist movie. It doesn't need to be. And so it's only an Exorcist movie because they decided to shoehorn Chris MacNeil in it and put the title The Exorcist on this thing. And that's really it. And so as it sits outside of that, this is just any sort of standard generic demon possession horror movie that we've seen countless times already. And bringing back Chris MacNeil doesn't affect the plot or the story of the movie whatsoever. She comes back she's maybe in the movie 5, 6, 7 minutes, and then they decide to gouge her eyes out with a crucifix. I mean, it's like, dude, like, how it just feels disrespectful. It's like, really? Like, that's what you're gonna do with the legacy character? It's not great, to say the least. It's not great. The Exorcist Believer does something else that I thought was kind of interesting and maybe a little bit bold. This isn't really necessarily a criticism, but more of just an observation, as this movie takes some clear shots at the Catholic Church that I didn't really expect. Now, I'm not Catholic, but even if I was, I'm not the type of person who's going to get offended or triggered at a movie. It's just a movie. It's, not that big of a deal. But man, how they portray the Catholic Church in here was definitely unexpected. And like one of the main, I guess, preaching points, we'll call it that, of this movie is they're trying to bring people together. All sorts of different people with different beliefs, and it's trying to have this very inclusivist message. But if you're a part of the Catholic Church, yeah, no, you're out. You're not allowed in, kind of thing. And so they have the character of the Catholic priest who wants to help the girls, but his hands are tied because of all the church bureaucracy junk. And so it's like, yeah, we want all this inclusive, everybody's involved in helping these girls, but we're going to write the movie in such a way that the Catholic Church looks terrible. So, and then they bring the priest back into the final scene with the big exorcism, and you think, maybe there's going to be a little bit of redemption, but they only bring him back just so that they can kill the guy. It's just like, holy cow. Like, I don't know if David Gordon Green has some like personal vendetta with the Catholic Church, that he's airing out some grievances in this movie, but it just seemed very obvious that, he was firing some shots. And so they bring the priest back in just to kill him. And because, it's a horror movie, we got to have at least somebody get killed. And he gets his head spun around in a very CGI type death that doesn't really look all that good anyways. And so, that was a pretty interesting choice there. The whole final sequence with the exorcism, when you get everybody together and they're trying to help the girls, it's fine. It's okay, I guess. Again, there's not really much here that we haven't seen 1,000 times in every other demon possession movie. And I also felt too that like the demons here, or demon, I don't know if it's one demon with both girls or if there's two separate, but either way, I don't really know like what the goal is. Like, what is the demon trying to do? Whereas in the original film, you kind of understand that it was eventually trying to get to Father Karras because he wanted to destroy this man's faith completely and totally, destroy it altogether. Whereas here, I'm not really sure why this is all happening. What is the demon trying to do? What's the ultimate goal? So none of that was really communicated all that well. I guess I'll give it a little bit of credit that they didn't go for the happy ending, that they actually kind of made the choice and killed one of the girls. So I wasn't totally expecting that. So I guess I'll give them a little bit of credit there. And overall, Exorcist Believer, it doesn't do anything shocking or memorable or scary. It's not really scary at all. There's not really anything horrific in here, again, that we haven't seen a million times already. And, I mean, comparing this to the original in terms of shock factor and scariness and horror is ridiculous. I mean, it's just, we're not even in the same universe. And the crazy thing is we're supposedly getting 2 more of these, which I have no idea. What is David Gordon Green gonna do? Like, I don't see where you're going to go with this story or what sort of direction you're going to take it in. Are we going to get a new cast of characters in the next movie and just have, another demon show up again? Is it going to be the same characters, and what, this girl Angela is going to get possessed again? I don't see how this is going to go anywhere that is interesting or different or unique or whatever. So I have no idea. Yeah, it's there's just not really much here to get all that excited about, especially knowing too that we have 2 more movies coming. So I have no clue what they're going to do. But yeah, anyways, those are my thoughts. I'm going to go like 3.5 out of 10 for Exorcist Believer. Yeah. So hit me up down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. That's all I got for you. Thank you for watching, everybody. Up next, I'm going to do my Exorcist ranking video, ranking all 6 movies, I think. So be on the lookout for that coming up soon, and I will see you next time on The Haunted Beard.